They won't even ask you acute MR or chronic MR. They won't ask you like that. Or why LV is dilated. That if I ask LV is dilated, you get a clue. I won't ask like that. In the OSCE, what I will ask you is, what do you think is the clinical picture of this patient? Or I will say, I won't even ask that. I will say, okay, this patient has severe MR. How will you treat this patient? You understand? Then it's up to you to tell me it is acute MR and therefore I will give you nitroprusside or nitroglycerin infusion. I will put IABP. I will stabilize the patient and then I will take for surgery. It's up to you to tell me that. Or write in the OSCE. OSCE is not, the other thing is OSCE is not even talking. You have to write the answers. So you have to be proactive. You have to be more active, alert, and try to get as much information and write it down. Otherwise, OSCEs you won't get for full marks. Okay, now somebody else. Hmm? Come on, somebody wants to talk or no? Nobody wants to talk?
It's an RV angiogram, sir, done using a pigtail catheter in the lateral view.
Oh, sorry. This go on.
The function of the RV appears normal, sir. It is contracting well. There is dynamic obstruction noted in the RVOT, sir.
Yes.
Followed by there is pulmonary valve appears to be normal, sir. There is no doming, normal flow across the pulmonary valve. And there is dilatation of the main pulmonary artery as well as noted.
So what is your diagnosis? And then what you after the pulmonary arteries, what do you see?
Lever phase, I could see.
What does that show? Levo phase, what fills? Levo phase, LAO. What fills in levo phase? What is levo phase?
Both LA and LV.
Sorry, sir.
LA is filling, sir.
LA fills and then LV fills and LV and iota is seen. So we see LA here, then LV here, and then we see iota filling faintly. Okay. So the levo phase. Okay, we'll come to levo phase later. So what is the diagnosis, Surya? Dynamic infundibular obstruction.
Yes, sir.
How come? How come?
No, sir. How come usually left ventricle will be involved? There is the LV, I mean RV cavity size also appears normal, sir. Usually in hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, cavity will be reduced.
There's negative shadow inside the RV, sir, suggestive of ventricular septal defect.
The
Ventricular
negative
septal
shadow could
defect.
be negative shadows because of tricuspid valve, sir. The catheter is going across it.
Can't you see something wrong here? Here. Is the pulmonary valve opening normally? Haven't you seen doming before?
Doming.
How many times I've talked about doming to you people? Can't you see the valve is doming? The cusps are not separating from each other. They are meeting in the middle of the lumen, even at the peak of systole, and therefore it forms a tent-like thing in systole. It's forming a tent. That's typical doming of the pulmonary valve. What is the problem with you?
Okay, sir.
The typical pulmonary valve doming, and then what is this narrowing here? The supraannular narrowing of the main pulmonary artery. And then there is what? What is this?
Post-stenotic dilatation.
Post-stenotic dilatation. And then what do you see in the levophase? The LA is filling densely, but the dye is not coming to RA. If RA was filled, you will see the dye coming from LA into RA like this. So the intact atrial septum. But you see in the levophase, only LA is filling, RA is not filling. If there was ASD, yes, RA also would fill. So now what is the diagnosis?
Multiple level pulmonary stenosis, sir.
Yeah, but what is the main level of stenosis?
Main level of stenosis at the level of pulmonary valve, sir.
So why don't you say, what is the diagnosis?
Pulmonary stenosis with suprapulmonary ring and post-stenotic dilatation, sir, with intact ventricular septum.
And
intact atrial septum also, sir.
And dynamic infundibular obstruction.
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
So, this is a classical example of a valvular pulmonary stenosis, where you the pulmonary valve, don't say pulmonary valve is normal. This is thickened. Pulmonary valve leaflet, normally you don't even see them. Okay, they would be flat against the wall of the artery. In systole, you won't see them at all. So, it is doming. The valve leaflets are nodular and they are fused in the middle of the lumen. And therefore, the body of the leaflet alone is moving, bulging into the pulmonary artery during ventricular contraction.
Okay, sir.
And the RV outflow is very dynamic due to hypertrophy. It's narrowing in systole and opening up in diastole. And in addition, there is some degree of supravalvular concentric narrowing of the main pulmonary artery. The post-stenotic segment of the pulmonary artery is markedly dilated. So the total diagnosis is valvular pulmonary stenosis with supravalvular narrowing and dynamic subvalvular narrowing, post-stenotic dilatation, intact atrial septum, and intact ventricular septum. Intact ventricular septum because when you inject in the RV with RV must be having a high pressure now due to PS. When you're injecting in the RV, you don't see any contrast going into the LV. So there is no VST. And the atrial septum is intact because LA is filling, but RA is not filling. So atrial septum is intact, ventricular septum is intact.
Yes, sir.
So what would you advise for this patient?
Requires surgical valve replacement, sir, because there is both supraannular as well as at the valve level obstruction.
Oh my God. Do you know the severity of this stenosis?
No, sir.
So you are recommending surgery straight away? Does angiogram tell you severity?
We have to look for the gradient, sir.
Yeah. These are all simple questions, no? Day-to-day practice. How did you say surgery, no? You shouldn't say surgery. Angiogram is only one test and one aspect of the pulmonary stenosis. You have to know the clinical finding. You have to know the ECG, whether the right ventricular hypertrophy. You have to know the gradient in the pulmonary valve by Doppler. And if you're doing cath, you may as well measure the gradient in the cath lab also.
Yes, sir.
Please read up how do you grade pulmonary stenosis also. Mild, moderate, severe. So only if you have severe pulmonary stenosis, you would advise correction, no?
Yes, sir.
Not in everybody. So, what do you like? What do you think is the symptoms of this patient?
They'll be presenting with features of right heart failure, sir. More of
Well, it depends on the severity,
severe.
but quite often, RV, since birth would have hypertrophied and compensated, quite often pulmonary stenosis is totally asymptomatic. Don't say heart failure.
Okay,
Only
sir.
a minority of them go into heart failure. That too when they grow up into adulthood. Therefore, the
Okay, sir.
majority of pulmonary stenosis patients are asymptomatic. Usually, it is picked up as an incidental finding. But sometimes they may be so severe as to cause RV dysfunction, and it may produce symptoms of tiredness, breathlessness, and all the features of heart failure. But commonly, it is an incidental finding.
Okay, sir.
Any treatment other than surgery?
Balloon pulmonary valvolectomy can be done, sir.
Why didn't you say balloon pulmonary before
Because
surgery?
there is supra valve, there was a ring over there, so I thought
We'll evaluate it further. Sometimes you can dilate the supraannular segment also, but it seems to be a thin diaphragm or thin ring. You may be able to dilate it. So balloon option is always the first option, if possible. That we'll have to evaluate at that time.
Okay, sir. So with if since there is dynamic obstruction, I thought it could be severe, sir. Can it happen without severe pulmonary stenosis also, sir?
Unlikely. I agree. Dynamic obstruction of the RVOT occurs mainly in severe pulmonary stenosis. Yes, but you still need to quantify it.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, there are two angios here, both of the same patient. Obviously, okay, why don't you look at this angio first? Okay, you can look at both angios. One second. Huh? Can you see both the angios, no?
Yes, sir. We can see, sir.
Both senior angios are playing there.
Yes, sir. Both are, sir.
Come on, start. Start with basic things, no? View, catheter, angiogram, whichever you want to describe the top one first and then the bottom one. No noise at all. Somebody try, no? Make an attempt.
So in top and top on the
Huh?
top there is RV angiogram done in lateral view.
Okay.
Dilated RVOT. PO phase there is VSD is seeing, sir. LA,
Okay.
LV is filling and TI is going from LV to RV also.
No, you describe one angio at a time. No, don't mix up the two angios now. You describe the top angio. RV is dilated, and then you said RV in lateral view. Then you said RVOT is dilated, and then what did you say? The LV is filling. Okay, but not clear. Very clear. Okay, go on.
And through LV dye is coming to RV also, most probably.
Okay, that's all. Do you have a diagnosis? And or you can go to the other angio now. Take help of both the angios now. What view is this? What angio is this? What angio? What view? Also, you're not talking. Means then what?
Done in LV angio done in lateral view.
Okay, the first one is also lateral. Second one is also lateral.
Yes, sir. One is LV angiogram, one is RV angiogram.
No. Chamber. I'm talking of the views now.
Yes.
No, they are not the same. They are not the same value. The views. Guys, you're supposed to be experts in coronary angiogram, no? Even views you are not telling correctly means this is not correct.
So the second view seems to be an LAO view, sir.
Which one?
Sir, the second one seems to be an LAO view, sir.
Bottom one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, bottom one is LAO view. Why LAO and not lateral? Somebody said the first one is lateral, top one is lateral. So why this is not lateral?
Sir, the heart should be clearing the spinal border in a lateral view, and the ribs should be overlapping, sir.
Okay, good. And the sternum should be at the most anterior point. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So the top angio is lateral view. The bottom angio is left anterior oblique view. Okay, go on now. The first angio is being injected in the right ventricle. Second angio is being injected here.
Left
ventricle. The first angio is right ventricle, and second angio is in the left ventricle. Okay, now what does the left ventricular angio show? What is filling in front of the left ventricle?
filling with a VSD, sir,
RV.
ventricular septal defect.
Ventricular septal defect. Okay. Okay. 1 second. Hold on. Hello. Yeah. Yes, speaking. Yes. Yes. Cherry. Okay. I'm a Euroflow. Cherry. Okay. 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 Thank you. Hello. Yeah. So what was that? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
So,
Post-surgery patient.
so after 10 minutes, you're telling me post-surgery. Why didn't you tell me so long? Okay, post-surgery. What else? The diagnosis cannot be post-surgery alone, no? Finish the diagnosis. The LV is filling the RV. So what is there?
Ventricular septal defect, sir.
Ventricular septal defect. VSD is there. Why RVOT is dilated? And what is this here? Something is there. And here there is something. You didn't talk about that. Yes, you must use your common sense. I know these are all angles you don't see commonly, but you must use your common sense. This is a
RVOT conduit.
Okay, but you should have told me before, no? If you use your common sense, there is an operated patient, and it definitely open heart surgery because there is a sternotomy. So open heart surgery, a VSD is there, and there's something wrong with the outflow tract, and there's something wrong with the pulmonary artery. Which condition in congenital heart disease involves VSD, RVOT, and pulmonary artery?
Top, sir.
Top, sir.
Is that very difficult? Okay. Now you have to guess what has been done. So and why this angio has been done? So what is wrong with the ventricular septal defect? At surgery, what would they have done in at off repair? They should have repaired it, no?
They should have closed it.
Okay. So what is there now?
Residual defect.
Residual.
So why do you take so long? It's an operated patient having still a VSD. That means there is residual ventricular septal defect. And what is this here? What is dilating? Is it contracting?
RVOT aneurysm, sir.
Why is it aneurysmal?
I think conduit is obstructed, sir. There is no
Okay,
opacification
no,
of pulmonary.
no. I'm asking you, what is dilating there? How do they enlarge the RVOT in tetralogy?
RVOT dissection.
No. Section and then what? How do they close it? Patch. What patch? Right, adult tetralogy.
Patch, sir.
Huh? What?
Pericardial.
Pericardial patch. So generally they close the BSC with a Dacron or Teflon patch, and they close the RVOT after a resection. They close it with a pericardial patch. The pericardial patch is native tissue. It bears normal pressures, but when the internal pressure is elevated, the pericardial patch can dilate. So now it has become an aneurysmal RVOT. And why is this internal cavity pressure high? Because the conduit that they have used to replace repair the pulmonary artery has become calcified. This is a calcified RVOT conduit. This is a conduit with a valve. Do you know of any conduit which is used in tetralogy of Fallot? What conduit is used commonly in tetralogy? Come on, guys. Guys. Huh? No. Come on, you're people working in Madras Medical Mission and you guys don't know means what? Frontier guys don't know means what? I feel bad. Frontier and MMM guys don't know what conduits are used in the RVOT. This is not excusable. Don't they use homograph? They can use homograph. They can use bovine jugular vein. They can use some experimental porcine valve conduits have been done. Some people have used pericardial tube grafts. But it's all tissue. It's not Teflon or Dacron on the right side. Because generally the pressure is expected to be low if the distal pulmonary arteries are adequately enlarged. So this is an example of operated tetralogy of Fallot with residual VSD, calcified obstructed RVOT conduit, and aneurysmal dilatation of the right ventricular outflow tract. Now it seems simple.
Yes, sir.
A clue is it's an operated case with a problem in the VSD, problem in the RVOT and pulmonary artery. So you have to think of which condition affects these three places. And for some reason, all the three areas are having recurrence of trouble. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What is the treatment for this? Okay, that's not very difficult. The residual VSD has to be repaired, aneurysm has been corrected, and the conduit has to be replaced. Re-operation. That's all the answer is. Of course, we'll quantify how severe the obstruction is by measuring the RV pressure and all that. By the way, you never told me what catheter it is. This catheter. This, you know, this is the pigtail, I know. You never told me what catheter is this.
Berman catheters.
Watermark.
Berman's angiographic balloon tip catheter, sir.
That's better answer. Why not Swan gun? Suppose I say it is Swan guns. Come on. It's already only 10 minutes more. Why is not Swan gas catheter?
It's not commonly used for our ones.
No.
Somebody was foolish enough, they put it. That possible?
No, so there are 2, 3.
Huh?
We'll have an end hole also, sir.
Which one has end hole?
Swan guns.
How do you know this has end hole or side hole?
So you could see the jet coming out of the catheter before proximal to the balloon, sir. So it can't be Swan guns.
Yeah, if you look here, you can actually see some thin jets coming from the proximal balloon. But what is more important? There are some people may not see that jet. More important. Do you think a Swan gun catheter will stay in the RV if you do an angiogram under pressure? What will happen?
It will float into PA.
Oh, come on.
It will bounce back, sir.
Why it will bounce back?
Because it is not stiff like Berman's catheter, sir.
I think you people have not understood the principle of end hole. When the jet comes out of the end hole, it will strike the myocardium and the coil will recoil. The catheter will recoil from the RV into the RA. The jet will come with a very high pressure and high velocity from the end hole, and as a reaction, the catheter will go backwards, recoil into the RA. It won't stay stable like this in the RV if there is the end hole. the disadvantage of end hole is it will dissect the myocardium. Secondly, it will recoil back. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that is the most important disadvantage. Reason why this is on Swan catheter will never remain stable in the right ventricle like this when you are injecting contrast. The moment you inject high pressure contrast, the catheter will jump out backwards. It will jump backwards into the right atrium. It will never stay in the RV. You know, the conclusion is that you people haven't watched any angiograms in the ventricle. That is the conclusion the examiner will have. Nobody is going to blame your training center. The blame will come to you because you should have taken interest in seeing angiograms. That is your fault. It's not the duty of the consultant to teach you. You are not in primary school or middle school. The teacher has to catch you and show you, look, this is how LV angiogram looks like. This is how a RV angiogram looks like. It's not his duty. As an adult, as a postgraduate, it is your duty to go and read, see the videos, dig out the LV angio, RV angio in your hospital, look at them, ask the consultant to explain it to you. If necessary, go and read, go and watch YouTube angio. All these are available on the YouTube. If you haven't seen ventricular angiograms adequately, I think the examiner will assign the blame to you, not to anybody else. So that way, fortunately, there only one OSCE, so the marks of that OSCE will go. It won't affect the whole result together. But if you have many OSCEs going like that, then there is trouble. So please, I think the second year guys and first year guys, if you are there, this is a warning for you. You have to take interest and see the angiograms yourself. Nobody is going to hold your hand and come and teach you. Right, last angiogram for the day. Because this is okay. I'm running only the top angio now. You have a look at it and then I will show you the next angio. And now this angio has a lot of information, huge amount of information. So the examiner say, give me 4 findings, give me 6 findings. He can say, give me 8 findings or give me the diagnosis. So he can ask a number of OSCE questions on this. So no, it's not to make it more complicated. This is how an angiogram should be interpreted. Angiogram is a very major procedure. No, you admit the patient, you give sedation, you do an invasive test. He is subjected to so much risk. So therefore, you want to grab all the information available from the angio. No part of the angio should go wasted. Yeah, let us start. Let us start. Come on. What's the most striking feature, or it comes to your mind when you see this angio?
Side.
Okay. Heart is on the right side. Okay, go on. Good. Point number 1. Next.
There is situs inversus also, sir. It's a
How do you
PE
know?
view, sir.
How do you do situs inversus?
Because
SVC is on
the
the right
aorta
side.
is on the right of the patient and SVC is on the left of the patient, sir. The venous catheter.
How do you know aorta is on the right side? Okay, the pigtail has come from the
pigtail has come from the
and
got
gone
a
into
loop
your
and then
ventricle.
it's
Gone to the aorta, most important. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the descending aorta is on the right side, and then if that is aorta, the other one must be in the IVC. So good. So now we have got 2 points: dextrocardia with situs inversus. Okay. Now what catheter in the venous side? What arterial catheter is pigtail. the venous side, it seems to be
Burman.
it's a closed end catheter, not a Berman catheter. There is no balloon there. Therefore, it must be a NIH type of catheter. The end hole not there, but only side holes are there. Okay. So after situs solitus, what do you want to tell me?
There is obstruction at the RV outflow.
Oh, come on. You've gone straight to the RVOT. Before that, something else very important. Where is the catheter?
It is in.
Okay, I'll stop it now for you. Okay, tell me.
It is in LV.
How did it reach the LV? The venous catheter reached the LV? The IVC is connected to LV?
Yes, sir.
Hey, come on, don't say yes. How can IVC be connected to LV? Don't say.
This ventricular discordance is there.
So, what is the course of the catheter?
Some IVC to RA to LV.
Okay. So, because we said situs inversus, IVC is here and therefore RA must be here. RA must be on the left side of the heart. So, IVC to RA and then it is going into a ventricle. Now, why did you say it is LV?
So smoothly trabeculated on the septal side. It's
okay.
Smooth.
So, it is morphologically left ventricle. Therefore, RA is connected to LV and what is that called? AV discordance.
AV discordance.
Okay. And then what is happening? Some big artery, great artery is filling, no?
Yes, the PA is filling.
PA is filling. So PA is filling from the LV?
Yes.
Corrected TGA.
Yeah, so AV discordance and ventriculo-arterial?
VA discordance.
VA discordance. Okay. Don't say corrected transposition yet. We have not seen the other ventricle. We have not seen the other great vessel. So now we have got situs inversus dextrocardia with AV discordance and VA discordance.
VA discordance.
Okay. What else do you see?
Yes, obstruction at LV outflow.
LV outflow or subpulmonic region, you can say. You know, when you say LV outflow, sometimes people may confuse with subaortic. So better to say subpulmonic narrowing. There is a narrowing at the subpulmonic region. So we have evidence of subpulmonic stenosis. And then what do you see?
The
Main
right
pulmonary. Huh?
RPA is also looking.
No, RPA, we have not stenosis. We are not running it. No, it's a still frame. Okay, so then it is bifurcating into the LPA and RPA. Now, where do you think is the RV? RV is on the right side. Can you see the pigtail is going from the aorta?
Yes.
The aorta is going into the other ventricle.
Yes.
So that means RV is connected to the aorta.
Oh.
So that makes it corrected transposition because RV is connected to the aorta. Morphological RV is connected to aorta and morphological LV is connected to PA. So that makes it corrected transposition. Now, what is the total? We are coming to the diagnosis better now. Dextrocardia, situs inversus, corrected transposition of great arteries, or you can also say the atrioventricular discordance and ventriculo-arterial discordance and subpulmonic stenosis.
Yes.
Okay, subpulmonic stenosis plus what else? What else? Which side is the aortic arch? Right-sided aortic arch. Okay. Now let us run the angio. See, in levo phase, you see the RV filling and then the aorta is filling. Can you see that? Okay, now you see something else here, interesting. Okay, wait. Okay, this is levo phase. After the pulmonary artery has cleared, you see that the contrast is coming back through the pulmonary veins into LA. This is LA. RA was here, isn't it? Hello? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
RA was here. This is venous catheter here. RA is here. LA is here. You can see that the atrial septum is intact. So LA is connected to RV and RV is connected to aorta. So here also we have AV discordance and here VA discordance.
Discordance.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Now
sir.
let us see this angio. Come on. Now I've told you everything. Now you must describe it. This other ventricle, no? I told you what is the other ventricle?
RV.
RV. So RV angio in AP view, what does it show?
It's filling LV also.
No, it's not filling LV. There's a trickle of dye going into the LA. That's not LV. LV is somewhere here. But this catheter is in the LV. The other catheter is in the LV. This dye is going here into LA. So that is ectopic induced MR. I mean, it is actually anatomically TR in this case, but then AV valve incompetence. So this ventricle appears to be normal. There is no significant AV valve incompetence. It is filling the aorta, and the aortic arch is on the right side. So that completes the diagnosis, no? Dextrocardia,
Yes,
situs inverse dextrocardia, situs inversus, AV discordance, VA discordance, and right aortic arch. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right aortic arch. Now it is corrected transposition. That's not enough, no? You've done an angiogram. That's not enough. There's something more to be told. What is the most common associated lesion with corrected TGA? No, corrected TGA by itself is not symptomatic, but you have to tell me what are the associations.
Ventricular septal defect.
Ventricular septal. Does he have a ventricular septal defect?
No, sir.
No, he doesn't have it because you see, when you do injection in the systemic right ventricle, you don't see the LV or pulmonary artery filling. So there is no ventricular septal defect. What is the second most common associated anomaly?
Pulmonary stenosis.
Huh?
Pulmonary stenosis.
Pulmonary stenosis. Does he have pulmonary stenosis?
Yes, sir.
Yes, he has the pulmonary stenosis. Yes, he has. What is the third most common complication of corrected TGA?
Complete heart block.
Huh?
Heart block. Complete heart block.
Heart block. Very good. Does this patient have heart block?
Sir, it is he's having pacemaker TPI lead in LV. So.
Hey, come on. Where is the pacemaker lead?
Sir, is this pacemaker lead or?
Where?
Sir, this is on the
This
LV
is lying
side.
somewhere outside the heart, no?
No, sir.
And
in the downward down last picture, second picture.
That's the IVC angiocatheter.
Okay. Okay.
There is no pacemaker lead.
No, sir. So he is not in CHB.
So he is not in complete heart block. And then what is the next most important complication of corrected TGA?
Malposition.
Huh?
Dextrocardia.
No. That's not a complication. Complication.
That's the AV valve dislocation.
Okay. Systemic AV valve incompetence. The systemic RV cannot tolerate systemic output for a long time. So invariably it dilates, starts failing, and the anatomical tricuspid valve, but going into the systemic right ventricle, will start developing a leak. That's one of the common causes of deterioration. So the most common complication of corrected TGA are associations are VSD, pulmonary stenosis, heart block, and AV valve incompetence. These are 4 complications. Does he have any of them? He has got only pulmonary stenosis. Okay, two important questions are left in this angio. Do you think this patient will be cyanosed?
No.
Sorry. Sorry guys, corrected TGA is adult cardiology disease.
No cyanosis.
No, sir. No.
Why no cyanosis?
Sir, because there is no VSD or there is no shunting, and the RA is connected to morphologically LV to pulmonary artery.
Okay,
And
very good. So RA blood is going to PA and LA blood is going to aorta. And there is no mixing. So this patient will not be cyanosed. Very important. Although we are calling it transposition, it is not cyanosis. That is why we are calling it corrected transposition. Transposition because aorta and PA are coming from the wrong ventricle. But it is called corrected because it is physiologically corrected. Venous blood is going into the pulmonary artery and oxygenated blood is going into aorta. So that is why we call it corrected transposition. The examiner asks you why it is corrected. It is not anatomically corrected. It is anatomically transposition, but physiologically corrected transposition. Physiologically, the oxygenated blood is going to aorta and venous blood is going into pulmonary artery. Okay? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, and finally, somebody diagnosed temporary pacemaker in this, but we don't pace temporarily from the lung here. Don't tell temporary pacemaker in the lung.
no,
What do
no,
you
sir.
think this is not a pacemaker. I'll tell you, nowadays we don't do it. In earlier days, whenever we wanted to measure the pulmonary artery size, aortic size and all, we didn't have this QCA and all in the computer. And also, it was quite difficult to measure this without the aid of a computer, the diameter of the catheter. Therefore, to correct for magnification, we used to cut off a tip of a pacing lead and stick it on the patient's chest. Okay, so we know that this is a temporary pacing lead. The tip has been cut off, and it is stuck with a plaster on the surface of the chest. So we know that the distance is 1 centimeter, 10 millimeters. So if this is 10 and this shows as 11 or 12, so we multiply that for any size. If we measure the RP diameter, we multiply the correcting factor. If we measure LP as 8 millimeter, we correct it by 1.2 or 1.3 so that we are correcting for magnification. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nowadays we don't do it. Earlier we didn't have computer aided measurement of catheter diameter and QCA and all. So we used to put this for correction for magnification. It's not a pacing. The purpose is not pacing. Anyway, in modern angios you won't see it. Okay, so this is a situs inversus dextrocardia, AV discordance, VA discordance, intact atrial septum, intact ventricular septum, subpulmonic stenosis, no AV valve incompetence, no heart block, right aortic arch, and good systemic RV function. I told you in the beginning there are lots of findings in this angiogram. You agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So if the examiner asks you to write 5 abnormalities, it should be a piece of cake. What 5? You can write 15 abnormal findings in this case. Okay?
Yes, sir.
I think I'll stop here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any questions so far on this? Any questions?
So there is a doubt in coagulation, not in this session.
In which case?
coarctation of aorta and supravalvular aortic stenosis, hemodynamics difference.
In this case, you're talking?
Not yet, not yet. Sir.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What is the question? I didn't understand.
Yes, there is a when we analyze the hemodynamic trace in coarctation of aorta and supravalvular aortic stenosis, we said resetting of the baroreceptor, this mechanism also. Hello.
What is the question? Question I'm not. You're not asking.
Okay.
What is resetting of baro?
What is the diastolic pressure, sir?
Where?
In coarctation, sir.
The diastolic pressure where distally. In the lower limb, you're asking. Huh?
The upper limb. Upper limb.
Upper limb, it will be high.
It will be high. Yes. Okay, sir. Okay. In supravalvular,
depending on the severity of the coarctation, the proximal pressure is always high. If it is only mild, moderate coarctation, systolic pressure alone will be higher. Severe coarct, both diastolic and systolic pressure will be higher. Now, the additional aortic stenosis, it depends upon the relative severity of the two. Now, the aortic stenosis may mask the coarctation gradient.
Okay.
Okay, because the aortic stenosis, the LV pressure will be very high, and LV to aorta there will be a large gradient, and the gradient from ascending aorta to descending aorta may underestimate coarctation.
Okay.
Now, I didn't understand what you asked about a baroreceptor setting. I didn't understand.
Actually, when we take a hemodynamic trace, coarctation trace and supravalvular Williams syndrome trace will appear similar.
Oh, you mean to say withdrawal tracing?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, then you got a tracing with you?
No, sir. No, sir. We have discussed previously, sir. There we discussed various points how to differentiate diagnose coarctation.
I discussed it, or somebody else?
Maybe somebody else.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to understand the question. If you show me the tracing, and then I can discuss with you.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Okay.
Next class.
Yeah, okay. Try to find it if you have. If you remember which update it was, you can find it. It must be there.
Oh, sure.
Sir, and one more doubt, sir. Will there be difference in both systolic and diastolic, sir, when compared to upper limb and lower limb in case of coarctation of aorta, sir?
Yeah, it depends on the severity of coarctation. Mild coarctation, only a systolic gradient. The severe coarctation, there will be both systolic and diastolic gradient. But distal diastolic pressure will always be, it won't be hypotensive. It will be maintained by vascular tone to ensure perfusion in the organs below the coarctation. But proximal pressure, systolic pressure will rise first, and then systolic and diastolic pressure will rise. So the most severe coarct will have high gradient of systole, gradient in diastole, and gradient at the mean pressure also.
Okay, sir.
Mild coarct will have only systolic gradient. Mean and diastolic pressure may not show a gradient.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Very severe coarct, I mean, the proximal pressure will be hypertensive, and distally you may get a very decapitated pressure. Again, the gradient will be quite different. But sometimes the presence of collaterals will alter the gradient, because if you have lot of collaterals, again you will underestimate the coarctation. So what is severe may look like moderate when you have lot of collaterals.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other question?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, then thank you. We'll meet on. Okay, you're letting me know about the classes when and how many classes next week. Surya.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay. Right. Thank you. And also, you have to tell me if that's the last class, what do you discuss? I've got some more cine angios, congenital heart disease. Do you want to see them, or you want to talk about something else? You let me know. Or you want
Yes,
to
sir.
do one more class on cine angios? You can tell me.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
One more
case
class on
scenarios,
scenarios.
case
Well,
scenarios also discuss.
well, depends. You know, if you one more class, you can do either case scenarios or you can do angiography. You can't do both.
We can
We
do
can
two
have
classes.
2 classes next week, sir.
Then
Tuesday
do,
and
that's what
Thursday.
you tell me. You discuss and tell me. To one class, 2 class, 3 class. I am game for anything. You people decide and tell me.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
2 classes means one I will do angio, one I will do case scenarios.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.